The first half of the 2023 MLB season is officially in the books, so without further ado, we're not going to waste any time with an intro. We're going to talk about the most disappointing players from the first half. So we're going to start the video with a Mets player, and we're going to end the video with a Mets player, so make sure you stay tuned all the way until the end. But obviously, the first player that I want to talk about, Max Scherzer, the reason why he's getting paid $40+ million to put up a 4.31 ERA, that is not good enough. When you're getting paid that much money, anything above a 3.5 ERA is going to be a massive disappointment. The walks are up, the home runs per 9 are up. Now, he is striking out a good amount of hitters. That's what Max Scherzer is pretty much known for, so he's always going to do that. But the home runs and the walks, those are definitely an issue, and he's got to get that fixed in the second half. Remember how I said anything above a 3.5 ERA just is not going to cut it? Well, Justin Verlander has a 3.6 ERA, which isn't that bad, but he has the highest FIP. FIP is a fancy stat that really determines how good a pitcher is all by himself. He has the highest FIP since 2008 due to his lowest strikeouts per 9 since 2008. Along with Max Scherzer, the walks are up, the hits are way up, the home runs per 9 are way up. Justin Verlander and Max Scherzer are getting paid almost $100 million. And I want to say, in my opinion, but objectively speaking, they are both underperforming, and that's not going to cut it in the second half. The Mets have been playing better as of late, but going into the second half and the playoffs, Max Scherzer and Justin Verlander, they have to be way better. Speaking of having to be better in the second half, Carlos Correa is a perfect example of a contract kind of going wrong. Now, of course, you can say that injuries have played a part into why he has not been that good because he's suffering from plantar fasciitis, but that's a big reason why both the Giants and the Mets backed out of giving Carlos Correa a ton of money. Again, he's making $33 million to hit .225 with a .299 on-base percentage and a 92 OPS plus. He's always going to play really good defense, but those offensive numbers are borderline pathetic for a guy like Carlos Correa. So he's got to get better, especially considering he's getting paid $33 million. And I'm just praying to the baseball gods that they keep him healthy in the second half. But then again, it's Carlos Correa that we're talking about. He's injured fairly often. So if we talked about Carlos Correa, we're going to have to talk about two other shortstops that signed big deals over the offseason, Trey Turner and Xander Bogaerts. Let's talk about TT, Trey Turner, first and foremost. He's getting paid $27 million. And from 2016 to 2022, he hit .303. That is amazing. But on the year, he has a .247 batting average with an 88 OPS plus, and we know that Trey Turner is not going to play the greatest defensive shortstop, so we need him to get on base. That's not really happening right now. He needs to stop chasing pitches outside the zone, and if he can somehow find a way to stop doing that, he might be in for a really good second half. But for right now, I'm going to go ahead and say that WBC Trey Turner and what we're seeing from Trey Turner right now, they're two completely different players, so he needs to lock in. Same with Xander Bogaerts. I'm not really sure what is happening behind the scenes because his hard hit percentage is way down this year. He's getting paid $25 million, and he has his worst batting average and OPS plus since 2017. Now, he's still walking a bunch, but the batting average and slugging have fallen off of a cliff. And also, like I mentioned, I'm not sure if it's father time catching up to him overnight or anything like that, but he's not hitting baseballs as hard, so I don't know if there's an injury that I'm not aware of. So if you're a Padres fan, are you worried about Xander Bogaerts? If you're a Phillies fan, or if you're a Twins fan, are you worried about Trey Turner or Carlos Correa? Let me know. I don't know if it's fair to bring up this next player, but I gotta bring him up because Tim Anderson has probably been the worst player in Major League Baseball to begin the 2023 season. And I say it might not be fair because he had an injury way back in the early weeks of the season, so maybe that's the cause. But he almost has a -2 WAR on the season. Let me go ahead and repeat that. A -2 WAR. That's because he's hitting .223 with terrible defense, and he has not hit a single home run over 67 games. Now, I'm going to go ahead and just move on to the next player because I kind of feel bad, but Tim Anderson, this guy has been completely terrible, and it might be because of that knee injury. Listen, I know that Alek Manoah had a really good return versus the Tigers. He had 8 punch-outs over 6 innings. He was really good, but before that, in his first 13 starts of 2023, Alek Manoah had a near 6.5 ERA. He had a 6.5 FIP. Again, FIP is a fancy stat to determine how good a pitcher is at striking guys out, not allowing walks, not allowing home runs. He was completely horrific. We all know how bad Alek Manoah has been. He was sent down to pretty much the developmental league. He got lit up by 17-year-olds, but it looks like he's lost a little bit of weight. Maybe he's going to be more accustomed to that pitch clock because they sent him down, and I think that was the main criticism of Alek Manoah. He was getting torched by the pitch clock. Maybe he's going to be better in the second half. I'm expecting a bounce back, but for the first half's sake, we got to be objective. Alek Manoah was one of the worst and most disappointing players in the first half, and same with Sandy Alcantara, the reigning Cy Young winner. Sandy has a near 5 ERA, and if we take a look at his stats across the board, the hits per 9 are up, the home runs per 9 are up, the walks per 9 are all up, and at the same time, the strikeouts are down. So Alek Manoah and Sandy Alcantara, they have been getting hit hard. They're allowing more walks, hits, home runs. The strikeouts are down. Now, hopefully, they're going to be bouncing back back in the second half, but I couldn't make this video without putting in Manoah and Sandy because obviously they've been pretty bad and this video would not be complete without them. Coming into the All-Star break, Luis Severino has allowed 7 earned runs in back-to-back starts. I almost can't believe that I'm looking at his stats right now. He has a 7.38 ERA entering the second half. The Yankees, they desperately need their pitchers to be better in the second half. They need Luis Severino to be prime Luis. They need Frankie Montas to come back from injury. They need Carlos Rodon to pitch like Carlos Rodon, because if they don't, Garrett Cole, he's kind of been their only starting pitcher that has done anything productive this year. Nestor Cortez has been bad, and if we go back to last year, Nestor Cortez and Garrett Cole have kind of been the only dependable Yankee pitchers. I mean, last year, they couldn't depend on Jameson Taillon, even though he was fairly good, but he's been anything but that this year. I know that Jameson Taillon spun a gem in New York. He went 8 innings, did not allow a single run, only allowed 1 base hit, but in his first 14 starts as a member of the Cubs, this dude had a 6.93 ERA and a 5.17 FIP. He was completely horrific, so even though he had that really good final start of the first half, I'm not going to give him any sort of leeway. He's got to be in today's video because the Cubs, they tried to trust him, and he's been completely untrustworthy. Now, these next few players have been better as of late, but I am not going to use their recent hot stretches as an excuse to leave them off this list, because Manny Machado and Jose Abreu, they were bad for quite some time. Now, again, Manny, he made up a ton of ground. He has 6 home runs already in the month of July, but from opening day to June 30th, right before July started, Manny Machado had a terrible 286 on base percentage and a 678 OPS. Manny Machado was one of the worst right-handed hitters in the National League before the month of July came around, so I had to include him in today's video, even though going into the second half, I expect him to be significantly better. Same story for Jose Abreu. He's been better lately, but even with the hot stretch, he has a 72 OPS plus, and if we take a look, he had a 237 batting average with a 287 on base percentage and a 627 OPS. Jose Abreu, Manny Machado, again, I do expect them to have better second halves, but for the most part, you could almost say that they were bad to begin the season. It really pains me that Shane Bieber is going to be on today's video, and he kind of has the same story as Justin Verlander. His 3.7 ERA isn't that bad, but over his last 11 starts, Shane Bieber has a 4.7, a near 5 ERA over his last 11 starts. The walks are up and the strikeouts are down. Shane Bieber, I'll just go ahead and say it right now, he has not been the same ever since the sticky stuff was banned. Both him and James Karinchak, they've kind of just been mid ever since they were banned from using the spider tax of the world, and it really concerns me because Shane Bieber at one point was one of the best pitchers in all of baseball. Now, I don't even know if he's a top 5 pitcher in the AL. Father Time is catching up to our next 2 players. We have a former batting champion and a former MVP and home run champion. First, we have DJ LeMahieu, and then we'll talk about Giancarlo Stanton after that. DJ LeMahieu, again, he's a former batting champion. Once upon a time, he almost hit 350, or maybe he almost hit 360. It was something crazy like that. On the season, he's hitting 220 with a terrible 79 OPS plus. Anytime that the Yankees find some momentum, it seems like he's grounding into a double play or popping up weakly to the infield. He's turning 35 years old in July. Maybe Father Time has already caught up to him, but the Yankees do have a new batting coach, so maybe Sean Casey, the new batting coach, can fix DJ LeMahieu or Giancarlo Stanton. Giancarlo Stanton has a 203 batting average with a 92 OPS plus, and a lot of that is because he's striking out and he's not walking a ton. He has a 292 on base percentage since the opening day of last year. Anything below a 300 on base percentage is technically considered to not be good. So while the power is still legit, and I expect Giancarlo Stanton to put up a 100 OPS plus in the second half, a lot of that is because, again, his power is still prodigious, but since the beginning of last year, he's not really been that great. Honestly, we just have to be objective about this. I did not have Jeff McNeil being on the most disappointing players in the first half of 2023 on my baseball bingo card. From 2018 to 2022, pretty much 5 seasons, Jeff McNeil basically hit 310. Right now, as I'm making this video, he's hitting 253 with an awful OPS plus. Jeff McNeil has never been a guy that is going to hit the ball really hard, so when he's not hitting 300, there's not a lot of things that he's going to do at an elite level. I mean, I guess he's going to take some walks every so often, and he's going to foul off pitches and really put up good at bats, but when he's not hitting 290 to 310, Jeff McNeil, his value kind of drops, and he is an older player, so hopefully this is not the first signs of Jeff McNeil being washed. And I'm hoping that he bounces back because, to be honest, I really like Jeff McNeil. He's fun to watch. If I missed any player, please let me know in the comments down below. I should be coming out with a video later, the best player from every single position in the first half of 2023. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.